Hello, let's play a bunch of daily word games. This is a weekly series where I go through a bunch of word games. A lot of them are Wordle-like, Wordle inspired. And we always start with a bonus game. So today's bonus game is the Plusword by The Telegraph. So what I'm going to be doing is taking my bonus games from the wheel that I use for bonus games in the connections videos that I make. And so, if you would like a bonus game to be considered for this series, as the bonus game for this series, become a member and add that to the wheel. All right. You might be able to see it more often, even than once a week. Cool. Well, so Plusword, we are solving a 5x5 crossword, kind of like the New York Times Mini. This is published by The Telegraph, which is a UK paper. So it's going to be a little UK centric, UK spellings. But we're also solving a Wordle as we go. And the Wordle clues can be very helpful because like whatever letter this is, this green, we know it's not appearing in any of these, except it might be here. Like this yellow could be pointing at this green, right? Anyway, dozed, maybe slept. Blank firma, dry land, terra firma. Paper quantities. Reams. Group of 8, like octal. Maybe not octal. PRM doesn't make sense. What's going on here? Spin doctors, for example. Let's keep looking at these. Call. All right, what is going on here? Hissy fit. Blood-sucking creature is a leech. Whoops. I'm having trouble with the interface here. So, oh, this should be an E. Greek muse, often seen in plus words. Orate. Anagram. Anagram of orate. Oh. So I can't have two E's. So I think reams is wrong. But this E happens to be right. And it's arrow. We have the E and the R already, so we need O-A-T. Okay, I don't know what order that goes in. But this is probably the T. In fact, both of these are yellow, so they can't be a letter that's in the word already. We know T's not in the word, so maybe the T goes here. And it's either eroda or erato. I don't know which one. Okay. Spin doctors, for example. Bitter, sweet, or umami, etc. The taste. Okay, so we know the E goes at the end. We go through these again. Hissy fit. Spin doctors. So we know that's an E. There's an A somewhere. Interesting. The A can't go in the middle because we know one of these two is an A. So we have an A and an O in some order, but neither of them go there. That's interesting. I don't think the A can go there either. So we could add an OE. We could be like an AOE or something. So this has to be, this is octet. That's what's happening. This is octet, the group of 8. Call. What does this hissy fit? Paper quantities. It's not reams, though. These wouldn't both be yellow if it was EE, actually. I don't know if they'd follow those rules or not. What is this again? Spin doctors? It's got to be plural, but there's no S in the puzzle. But it is for example, so maybe it doesn't have to be plural. Darn, this one's tough today. Hissy fit. Call. Can I get help? Doesn't look like it. Darn. At this point, I feel like slept is correct. Hissy fit. Greek muse. All right, well, I'm going to see which is a Greek muse. Is it... You know what? This isn't going to be EO, is it? I think it's got to be erato, but let me just look that up. Erato? Greek muse, okay. So what is this? Call. Phone. Okay. Preen? Spin doctors. No. What's going on here? What? It is terra firma, right? Terra firma. Yeah, solid earth. Okay, I'm right about that. What is this? Stoop? Hissy fit. No. Paper. Oh, did I spell reams wrong? I mean, is this perman? PR men. Spin doctors are PR men. Oh, okay. So reams was right. I just didn't spell reams right. Okay, so we have a C somewhere. It's a canoe. There's an N as well. And I think we just won. 6 minutes. Yikes. Okay, I had some trouble. For sure. Been a while since I did this one. All right, let's move on to Fibble. So, starts us with naked. So each guess has a lie in it. A lot of people say they can't follow this one. Like they don't understand this one. I'm going to try to carefully explain it then. Think about if we're just playing normal Wordle. It's thinking of an answer, and we guessed naked. It forces us with the first guess, but let's say we guessed naked, and it's going to color it just like Wordle would. But then, before it displays that to us, it's going to pick a random slot, 1 through 5, and it's going to change the color to the wrong color. So it could change a gray to either a yellow or green. It's going to 50-50 chance one of each, right? A gray could be yellow or green. A yellow could be gray or green. And a green could be gray or yellow. So one of these slots is lying and the rest are telling the truth. So it's our job to guess the correct word, just like you would in Wordle, but the clues are lying to you, but in a consistent way. So for naked here, I like to assume that all the positive information is correct, even though usually it's not. Usually, if you think about it, the highest chance color is gray. You're going to get way more grays than any other color statistically. And so that means that probably the lie is going to be the yellow or green, and actually more likely being the green on average. Gray turning into a green is probably more likely than a natural green. Yellow happens much more commonly, but it could be a gray that's pretending to be yellow. And then a green or a yellow pretending to be gray is really rare in comparison. But by including all 3 of these letters here, I'm able to find a contradiction more quickly. And contradictions are how you figure out where the lies are. If one of them's saying one thing and the other's saying something contradictory that doesn't match, then you know at least one of those things is lying. Now, it's going to be a little bit hard to do either that or that. K at the start is my best chance, but honestly, I don't see a word that does that. So I'm just going to use the AE, and I'm going to assume the K, and we're going to make the K the lie. Because I would also have to include an N or a D, right? It's not just KA, something like that. I'd have to include like a D or an N, so that I'm using one of the lies in this first word. The lie, I'm assuming the lie is either there's supposed to be an N or there's supposed to be a D somewhere. But that's just not a word. So I'm just going to use the AE, and I'm going to not use N, K, or D, and the lie will be that this K should have been gray. So maybe an ER word, like tamer. Okay, so now we want to analyze this. The A's and E's are doubling down. Excuse me, saying yes, we have that. I'm thinking, okay, no K, and I'm thinking we can use this R somewhere else and then use a T or an M. Actually, I don't know. We could do Raider. Oh, no, that's 2 lies. Why is that 2 lies? Right, this R can't be lying and the T lying. I could do rates. I don't think plurals are going to be in Fibble, but I think this will give us a lot of good info. Ooh, okay. So the AE are again saying, yes, we're here. That doesn't mean they are. They could be lying. The same lie can happen multiple times. It's just gets rarer and rarer as an option. So we could do something like bears. Oh, no, sorry. We would need tears. If tears is a word, we could guess it. It is. Okay, so we finally have some contradictions. We actually haven't had any contradictions till now, which is crazy. But these S's are lying. Not both of them, at least one of them. because we can't have it green in this slot and gray in this slot. That means that either rates was supposed to make this gray and it didn't, and it lied and made it green, or tears was supposed to make this green and it didn't, it was supposed to be gray, or they both lied and it's supposed to be yellow. But both times. But I'm thinking this is our lie. But I don't think we have to do that yet. What we can learn from this is that these are using up at least one lie. If that's the case, this E has to be true. Imagine if this E were lying. That would mean this E would also have to be lying because they agree with each other. So if it lied here, it would have to have also lied here in order to end up green there. And then now I've used up 2 lies in 2 words. There's only 1 lie per word. I can't make one of these S's lie. So the E, anything that agrees is true. The A's are true, the E's are true, all the way up. And then it also means, because we guessed an R in rates and an R in tears, it means there is an R somewhere in the word. And I'm thinking we're ER. So I'm thinking that's our lie. I'm thinking that's our lie. I'm thinking this is true. I'm thinking that's true. And then this T is lying. Because if there's no T, then that T has to be lying. And I'm thinking I was right about this K lying. So I think that we are an AER word, and we just need 2 new letters. Baker. Okay, so I think that this K is lying. I think we just don't have a K. But we could try, if there is another A key. No, we can't do AKER, but if there was a KAER, we could try it. But I don't think that's worth it. I think there is one. We could try paper, repeating the P. We're just in the AER trap. We're getting lies each time, but it's pretty obvious what the lies are at this point. So we're just in an AER trap. So no P's. Laker? I don't think so. Fake? No, we don't want to use the K. Darn it. Layer? Okay, we know this E's the lie, so no L or Y. Getting there. Caver or something? Favor? No, favor's OR. Maybe caver. Darn it. I might lose just because. Pretty sure that's the lie. Yeah, I need an AER that. Darn it. Waxer? I don't know. What's going to be on the answer list? Faxer? Waxer? I think I'm going to lose just because it's the AER trap. Nasty. Faxer. Waxer. We know it's not a K. I don't think we have another vowel. Wafer? I think wafer is the best bet. Wager. I think I like wager better. It was wafer, darn it. If only I hadn't thought more after wafer. AER trap in Fibble. That's just nasty. I used too many guesses before figuring out it was the AER trap. I probably should have, after Tamer here, I probably should have just said it's AER. Let's start guessing AER words now. That probably was a poor decision to move the R and use the T again, because I just didn't get enough information on these guesses. I used the RT twice. I ended an S twice. Like, I just didn't give myself enough guesses on the AER trap. All right, well, let's move on to Betweenle. We're gonna start with wafer because that was the answer to Fibble. All right, 22% away from the start. So the way Betweenle works is it's just alphabetical. Like, you take the dictionary of 5-letter words, like in alphabetical order, how the dictionary would order it, and you it's saying, hey, from all A's, we are 22% of all words away from that in alphabetical order. And from wafer, if we work backwards from wafer, we're 72% of all words away from that. So we need something that's like 2/5 of the way through the dictionary. Which I don't know, to me feels like a D, maybe an E. Let's try like eagle. Okay, so I think D was right. Maybe diner, like a middling D-ish. Okay, we could try diver to stay like 0.28. You can think of this as like 28 words. It's not exact, but anything after the decimal, if it's 0 point something, you can think of it as like we need 28 words after diner. So is it going to be a DI or is it going to be like a DO? We could do like a really early DO. What's an early DO? Like doc or something? Dobby. I don't know. Maybe diver's fine. A late DI. Okay, so yeah, I went too far already. So we're DI something. We must be. And between N and V, we're closer to the V. But I mean, maybe disco. I went too far. Okay, so we're like halfway between disco and diver. What would this be? DIS still? Dishy? I don't know. That did barely move the needle. Ditto? All right, DIT, ditch maybe. There we go. Okay, got it. Ditch an 8. All right, let's do word 500. So word 500, we're going to start with ditch. The way to think about this one is instead of coloring each letter for us, it just gives us the counts. So it colors it just like Wordle would, but then it just gives the counts. It's kind of like Mastermind in that way. So ditch was 5 reds. So red is like gray in Wordle. So we just need to guess 5 new letters, which is great. That's a really good result, actually. We want SLN. We want EA. Maybe slink. Slang. Let's try slang. 2 yellows and slang. So I like to assume we got the vowel right and then one of the common letters. So not the G. We can always go back, right? If we're proven wrong. Slang. Okay. What likes to go with this A? I could do like a rally. That's not bad. 1 green, 1 yellow. So let's say we place the A, and we were right about the L being yellow. I like to assume I'm right until the game proves me wrong. So we would need to do like an LA word. What would we do with LA? I could include an E somewhere. Maybe E at the end. This is actually hard. LAU? Can't do laugh. Lob. Lambo. Doesn't accept Lambo. Maybe not LA. Ooh, why can't I think of something? Lamb. Not laser. All right. I mean, I could pick a different result here. So maybe we did place the A still, but we didn't have an L in the word. Maybe we do A. Oh, we're not gonna use the Y. So maybe there's an R somewhere in the word, and we'll pick an S or an N. AR maybe, or we could be an ER word and just use an S or an N, like not laser, but it would be ASER, forced. And I don't see a word other than laser for that. So then it could be ANER or it could be NA something ER. We just can't put the S first or it would have been green and in slang. Painter? Wainer? Someone who wanes, a wainer? No. Painter, someone who puts up pains. Banner is not spelled that way. Maybe it's not an ER word. Okay. What about like just an AR and then end in E? No. ARSE is the best. Parse. 1 green and parse. Okay, so I think I got the A right. I think we're okay saying that. So no S. Maybe I don't know. I can't think of an LA word. I don't think. See, Y being yellow. I'm not gonna do that unless I'm forced to. We know there's no R, so that would force this L to be yellow and this L to be yellow. So we're back to this, but maybe we can do something like, I don't know, banal, but there's no L. Basal, no L. But like A something something L would also work. I tried LA and I couldn't think of something. Cabal, no C. I feel like this is our best bet, but natal, cabal. I mean, I could guess one of them knowing it's wrong. Fatal. All these use something that I can't use. What's nice about fatal is we know the T is red. We're guaranteed. So this tells us a lot about AAL. One yellow. Okay, so first of all, this A can't be green and yellow here, right? If the A were in the word, it would be colored green in parse and colored yellow in fatal because there's only one colored letter. And so it cannot be in the word. So we know that the yellow is either the F or the L. And I'm thinking let's just reuse this L. And it's just, we have to start with L. That's what it's telling us. And so now we need a green. And if we're starting with L, this can't be the green. So we need to be ending in Y. And then we need an S energy. Okay, so we start with L. We end in Y. This is telling us we need an S energy. And this is telling us, you know what? I think I kind of like ending in SY. Because then we don't have to introduce too many new letters here. Yellow, green. And this would be the result. So like lousy. Exactly, lousy. Perfect. Okay, got it. I said fail word 500. Bit of a lousy word, huh? No, that's fine. All right. Yeah, just I had to assume the A until it was proven otherwise. It just took a while to prove otherwise. I didn't have to, but that's kind of my strategy. All right, let's do Polygonle. So the symbols on top. So we're solving an 8-letter Wordle, but the symbols on top tell us how letters repeat. So this letter, this slot, and this slot have the same letter in them, like both A's, both B's, whatever. But also it tells us the opposite, which is that, you know, this is the blue triangle and this is the yellow square. They are not the same letter as each other. So we have this repeating and this repeating, meaning there's 6 total unique letters. If I do ing, that also places this G. Now what would this be? I don't know. I don't think this works. Okay. The other thing we can try is like an ER, ES, ED. I like looking at endings, especially if it causes a repeat. You know, this has been a rough day. So let's just do a filler. So 8-letter filler, I like to start with robustly. And if that doesn't give enough info like this one, then I just go straight into machined. And that covers a huge number of letters for that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have all 6 of our letters. So this could be like a repeated E. That seems to be reasonable. And we could do like a DE. What would this repeated letter be? Not the R. It could be S. It could be I, and probably not I. We could do like an SN. SNES? No, I don't like it. I wonder if D would work better here, because we could do DR, but dread, and then I. It would have to be dread nice or something like that. Not have to be, but okay, that doesn't work. Maybe the E doesn't repeat there. Maybe the S repeats there, and we're a plural. There's lots of plurals in Polygonle. So then this would have to be a vowel. And I like to repeat the E over the repeating the I. But no, this would be the only other place. Oh, we could repeat. Wait. Oh, yeah, we're repeating the S. This wouldn't be a vowel at all. Not the R. Not the D. Okay, maybe I don't like S there. Well, okay. What else could go here? Could this be repeated E? N. And Surides. Oh no, what is this word? And setters. Maybe this is the E. Maybe we need this to be the I. Insiders. Oh, perfect. Okay. Figured it out. Even with that, it was tough on Scramble. There are only 36 words that match the pattern. Circular, ganglion, indicted, insiders, insights, retrofit, swastika, wow, tastings, and tectonic. Yeah, so my standard ERS would have worked. In fact, that was what it was. I always forget to try like ERS. Yeah, try to remember that. All right. The mini is just 5 letters, and this repeats. So let's try small. All right, let's try. What else can repeat at the end there? Double E, double F, like sniff. Just like sniff. Okay, cool. Sometimes it's easy. Oftentimes it's easy. All right, let's do Symble. I always start with blaze on Symble. So Symble colors things a bit strange. The way the game explains, I'll explain it the way the game explains it, and then I'll explain it the way that I like to explain it. So the way the game explains it is, imagine you're playing Wordle, and the answer to the Wordle is what your guess was. The answer is blaze. This is actually how it does it logically. So let's pretend the answer to the Wordle is blaze, what I just guessed. And then the answer to the symbol is what was guessed. So I don't know what this would be, but let's say I can give a better example once we know what the answer was. Or let me come up with a word that could be that. So let me just think for a second here. Maybe the B and the A are in place. So BRA, Barack, I don't think is a word. Brand. Okay. So this could easily be it. So imagine that the answer to the word was blaze and we guessed brand. How would brand be colored? Well, the B and the A would be green and the R and D would be gray, right? If blaze was our answer and I guessed brand, brand would be colored green, gray, gray. Now we transfer that up here and we turn them into ambiguous symbols where the green in this case is the purple star and the gray is the blue cube. But that's kind of randomly assigned. In every game, you're going to have different symbols that mean different things, and it doesn't tell you what. So the second part of Symble is figuring out what these symbols actually mean. So if I guess brand, it wasn't the answer, but I have a third symbol that was exposed here. So the way it colored this is it knows what the answer is, right? Symbol, I don't know what the answer is, but the answer to the symbol, it pretends that brand is the answer to a Wordle, and then it colors the answer to the symbol against a brand, and it gets these colors. And so let's say it was actually B. Let's say that purple star is actually the green, because that lines up. What would it mean for this to then be the yellow? What would cause this second letter to be yellow? Well, it would mean that an N or a D is in the word. I know that's a little bit confusing to think about, but the only way that guessing the answer, which would be where this X is, would cause that X slot to be yellow is if N or D were in the word. So we'd have to be BDA or BNA. So here's where we get to how I think about it. First of all, you have to kind of guess what color is what, probabilistically a bit. So we guessed that that purple star was green and that blue was, the blue cube was gray, and that there wasn't a yellow. And in here, we would be guessing that, again, the purple star is green and the green plus is yellow. And then it has to be consistent every time. And so a way to think about this is we can think about more directly. Greens are used, B and A come back down. Gray means that none of the letters I guessed in my guess go in that slot. So B, R, A, and D. Well, the B and the A were already used, so we can't use them again. But it would mean that the R, the N, and the D do not belong in the word at all. And don't go at the end here. Don't go in these two slots, that is. These two slots cannot have the R and D. And then the yellow would mean that a different letter that I guessed that wasn't used for a green, N or D, would go in that slot. And so this doesn't work. So we have to reevaluate what our symbols mean. So I think that purple star might be yellow, which would mean that it was yellow both times, which can't work. The only way that works is if the A and B are swapped. So we could consider that. And that would mean that the R comes straight down. The R would be our green. And so I think we're something like arbor. There we go. That's our answer. So now that we know what the answer was, it actually tells you where the colors ended up here when it colors it. But it assumed the answer. So basically the color of this, it said the answer is blaze and we guessed arbor. And when we guess arbor against blaze, we get yellow, gray, gray. And it assigned these symbols to yellow and gray. And when you guess arbor against brand, if brand were the answer to a Wordle and you guess arbor, then it's going to color it yellow, gray, gray. And then if we do arbor against arbor, it's all green. So the green is not always green colored in our symbols. We have to figure it out. There's no rhyme or reason to the symbols until you figure what they are out. They're just consistent among all the guesses. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. I think I really like Symble, and you can actually get it in fewer guesses than Wordle often. I average 3 or 4. In fact, if you look at my stats right now, which is since I had to reset my computer, maybe if I refresh, it'll show me the stats. There we go. I played 7 games, and 6 of them have been 3s, and 1 of them has been 4. So nice, I have pi average. All right, finally we are doing Fusele. Now Fusele combines a bunch of these variants together. Every single guess that we make will have a different twist to it, and we don't, because we're playing the blind version, we don't know what the twist is until we're about to guess it. So this twist is we don't get yellows. The only hints are letters at the correct places. So we're only going to get greens. If it was going to color it yellow, it colors it gray instead. So we're going to start with this Symble answer, which was arbor. So this means none of them were green. All these letters could be in the word, just not where we guess them. This next twist, I'm not allowed to guess AJKPQR. And you might think, oh, that's great. That means AJKPQR enter in the answer. Nope. We could have all of them in the answer. It's just randomly not letting us guess that. So we could potentially not be able to guess the answer at all here. But let's just get all new letters here. I want STL. N. E. I could do a cell A. Oh, I can't guess A. I can't do cell A. Let's do maybe ST or style. That's interesting. Okay. So this colors it normally like Wordle. We just weren't allowed to guess certain letters. So we know there's a T in the word somewhere. This one, if you've played Warmle, which I haven't played in a while, it's the same as that. So each slot is individually evaluating just against what letter's supposed to go in that slot. And it's telling us if we're within 3 alphabetically of that letter. So I'll put this T somewhere. No E. I could include stuff from arbor, especially the R and the A. So I'd like to know that. This doesn't really help too much with that though. I like to guess letters. If you look at the alphabet in alphabetical order, you can see that R, S, T are in really good zones for common letters. Like R, S, T are very common on their own and they're near each other. And so if we guess in the R, S, T range, we cover a big swath of like very common letters. And some uncommons, but I like to use from RST in that case. But this might be tough. Let's use the alphabet keyboard for a bit. We know there's no S, but I'd like to use S's and T's to try to locate where the T goes, because we know there's a T in the word. We could start with T. We know there's no R here, though. We could do like a TH or a TU even. TU? I don't know if TU is a thing. What if I did like torch? I know it's not exactly what I was talking about, but let's just try torch. Okay, so what we learned here is the T does not go here. So this twist is this middle tile here. If we got lucky, it picks 1 to 3. This tile here will just not show us the color at all. Whatever color it is, it just doesn't tell us. How are we doing this? We could be like a GHT word. Let's look alphabetically here. Yeah, so we're not near H, but T is very far from H, right? So we could be an IGHT word. So let's try might. Okay, I think we are an IGHT word. We just need a different one. What's left? Night? There we go. Cool. Alrighty. And that's it for the games for today. Hopefully that was helpful, me going through how these games work and the strategies. Let me know how you did. If you enjoyed this, why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.